All right. Hello again, and welcome to the Boney Life, where we make the kitchen and the garden quick and easy while we add a little dash of life into the mix. I'm Corey Boney, and this is episode 4 of the Boney Life live stream. Really excited for another jam-packed episode. We have a lot to talk about today. A lot of recap, a lot of stuff to learn about, and hopefully a lot to discuss. Like last week, we had record numbers in the chat. 6 people. And we had a great conversation. Hopefully we can have that again this week. So this week we're going to be talking about growing tomatoes in the climate that I'm in, Zone 9A. It is definitely time to start getting your tomatoes into your garden. We had some weather a week ago. It went from 80 to 40 to 80. I'm pretty sure that we are done with cold weather here for 28. Yeah, 2018. Forgot what year it was for a second. But if we don't, then that's not my fault. I didn't say anything. But I'm knock on wood. I'm pretty sure we are good to go for the cold weather. Had some crazy weather this past weekend. It's still kind of crazy. It's nice outside. It's let's see, it's 80 degrees right now. Really, really nice outside. Getting a lot of work done in the yard over the weekend. But we had a random thunderstorm that popped up on Friday that kind of came out of nowhere and produced like dime-sized hail. Luckily, my garden was fine. Hopefully, yours was as well. But the wind has been crazy. I mean, it's been constant 25-mile-an-hour gusts or higher pretty much all since Friday. It hasn't let up, so that's kind of put a strain on a lot of my plants. I've noticed a lot of leaves getting a little bit of windburn, curling up a little bit, but hopefully that will die down too, and we will get back on course. The Walton family in the house. Hello, all the Waltons. Glad y'all are joining me this evening from Dayton. Great city of Dayton. They claim that they invented flight, but we all know that that's in North Carolina. Anyway, moving right along. Food safety at home is a topic as well as tomatoes, and then organic sugar market futures. Got some exciting stuff about that, and also what's for dinner. At the end of the episode, we'll do our weekly recipe. Hello from sunny but cool Central Florida. Geeky Gardens, welcome to the chat. Hope you're having a wonderful evening as well. Off to a great start. So let's jump into the news for this week. Found a couple of news stories revolving gardening / cooking. And the first one is how to put food safety first in your home cooking by Linda Hoffman. We are in love with flavor and texture and mouthfeel, and there's nothing wrong with that. Food is one of the great sensory pleasures in life, but food safety is of primary concern. Goes on to say, witness the recent E. coli contaminations in chopped romaine lettuce grown in Arizona that sickened at least 35 people and hospitalized 22 others in 11 states. According to the Center for Disease Control, the CDC warns that they should determine the origins of any chopped romaine lettuce before consuming it at home or in any restaurant. So you want to be on the lookout from any lettuce, really just any lettuce in general, that may come from Arizona. That's the state of the culprit on that. Goes on to say, during that time period, more than 207 million eggs were recalled in 9 states, including Colorado, due to the possible salmonella contamination. With at least 22 documented cases of illness, according to the FDA, eggs from Roseacre Farms, sold under the names of Coburn Farms, Crystal Farms, Country Daybreak, Glenview, Great Value, Neems and Sunshine Farms are some sold under Food Line have been recalled. Anyone who purchases these name brand eggs should return them to the store where they purchased them for a full refund or store credit. So yeah, that's a ton of eggs. And actually my brother is in the eggs business. Luckily, I don't believe any of his farms were contributing to this, but I mean, that's a ton of eggs. So definitely make sure lettuce and eggs that you're looking into your refrigerator and make sure that you're not eating any contaminated food. That is no bueno. Anyway, the CDC estimates that 1 in 6 Americans will be sickened by foodborne contamination of some kind, according to San Francisco professor. The 5 most common foods to be careful with include sprouts, especially alfalfa, with danger of both E. coli and salmonella due to their moist and humid growing conditions. Lettuce, due to the texture of surface. Tomatoes that are possibly washed with contaminated water, especially those that are bruised or cut, which introduce bacteria into the interior of the fruit. Melons, due to their textured surface. Spinach, due to their crinkly textured leaves, is the last thing to be careful of, and make sure that you're cleaning these properly if you're buying them from the store. Hopefully you're growing your own and still want to be very careful with these. You want to make sure that you're cleaning them properly before you're consuming them into your body, but also make sure that you are up to date with all the recalls, food recalls in your area, because yeah, if you've ever had food poisoning, it is no bueno. So you want to make sure you're taking the proper steps, not only cooking the food, but also making sure the food that you're preparing is safe to begin with. Let's see. To protect ourselves from possible contaminations, it's important to employ a few food safety practices that are really just common sense, but you never know. Last week, Cleveland people, anyway, follow last week's episode and you can find some other common sense details that you want to refresh. But anyway, first and always, wash your hands before handling any food item. And throughout the preparation process, I always wash my hands before emptying the dishwasher. Second, wash all produce items before cutting them. Cutting a melon, orange, or lemon without first washing introduces bacteria found on the outside into the interior. Third, wash textured greens by submerging them in clean water, either with a large clean bowl or in the kitchen sink that has been thoroughly washed. I would not even mess with the kitchen sink. I'd use a bowl. Clean your greens, people. Clean your greens. Then drain them, paper towels. Fourth, cook meats, especially ground meats, thoroughly to the recommended temperature. That's a big one for me. Sometimes I have multiple temperature electronic readers, and I use them for everything. And sometimes I get a little grief thrown my way. I don't know how to cook a steak or chicken properly, but you know what? Make sure you hit your numbers. 1, it's going to taste better, and 2, it helps you prevent being sick. So, I mean, it's just proper food safety. So make sure you're cooking your meats to temperature. I'm going to be having some meat videos in the future. Really excited about that. But yeah, cooking meat to temperature is one of my big points of emphasis for sure. Thoroughly to the recommended. Fifth, don't let those who are ill handle food. Who knew? If you're sick with the flu, don't touch the food. Using common sense food safety practices keeps us safely Using common sense food safety practices keeps us safely enjoying delicious and satisfying foods. Bon appetit. So yeah, a little backstory on the romaine lettuce too. My wife loves the salad from Frozzy's Taco. It's a taco joint that makes really, really great salads. They've been out of stock for over a week, and she's been really craving it. But unfortunately, it's better on our end that they're, at least the place is using proper safety with their lettuce, but she is going through the salad withdrawals. It has been real. But yeah, you never be too careful. Practice food safety, everyone. And cook your meat to proper temperatures. That's a big one. That's a big one for me. All right, moving on. This is kind of couldn't really find anything else, but Global Organic Sugar Market Research reports forecast to 2022. Yeah, the global organic sugar market is expected to exhibit a substantial growth of up to 15.55% during the forecast period of 2017 to 2022. The demand for organic sugar is anticipated to be driven by various factors. Organic sugar retains various nutrition, which is otherwise lost during the overprocess of conventional sugar. The organic unrefined sugars contain 17 amino acids, 11 minerals such as sodium, magnesium, and calcium, and many different vitamins. It retains its fructose and glucose, along with the sucrose, while the processed sugar only contains sucrose and glucose. Therefore, the factor is playing a key role to drive sales of organic sugar. Anyway, sink your sweet tooth into some organic sugar features there. Little tip on the house. But yeah, so that's what's in the news this week. The biggest thing is all the recalls. So yeah, just want to make sure that you check your refrigerators and also check when you're at the your grocery store should be fine by now, but it doesn't hurt to be on the safe side. Make sure that you're picking up safe foods and clean them properly. All right. Yeah, that's the news. Hope everyone is well informed this evening now. All right, we're moving on to our tips segment. I need to find a name for that, but the topic of this week is tomatoes. Like I said, in my area, it's definitely time to get your tomatoes into the ground. Zone 9A. I am on the record for saying that our cold weather is out. I put my tomatoes out earlier, and they're doing very well. Surprisingly, the weekend prior, we did have another 40-degree night, but it was fine. All mine, they are a little unhappy, but they're fine. But anyway, some people up north, you may still may be iffy regarding your tomatoes. But anyway, we're going to move along because there is a lot of good information about that, and we're going to start with just kind of the basics of how to feed your tomatoes and how I feed them. I am an organic grower, and so some organics that I use are fish emulsion. It's a 511. It's water soluble. It's also what I use for my seed starts. Luckily, they're not in my house, so the smell isn't a factor there. I do them in my garage. Another benefit of living in Texas. But what's really great about the fish emulsion, it gets right into the roots. It absorbs it. Great for all my plants, really. I kind of go light on the peppers because, again, like we said last week, you don't want to have too high of nitrogen on your peppers because you want them to kind of just focus on not producing as much leaves and make them a little strained so that they're more apt to start producing the peppers. Right now, backstory before we go any further, I've got some peppers starting to flower and tomatoes starting to flower. So hopefully, here in the next few weeks, I'll already start to have some fruits in the garden. But I did have to pull my cauliflower out of the garden. About 2 weeks ago, I left to go down to Austin, and yeah, I didn't do enough. I should have sprayed preemptively my neem oil spray, but some caterpillars just came in and just demolished those. They kind of got on the kale, but the kale is bouncing back fine. But yeah, so I did a neem oil spray, and luckily, I still have some broccoli growing pretty nicely, and sprayed it, and I caught some suckers trying to get on there today, and they were dead. So I'm pretty sure the neem oil spray is working as to its desired effects to control the pest. Because I'd rather find dead bugs on leaves than no leaves at all and no bugs because they're long gone. But anyway, moving right along, back on tomatoes. Also, I use a garden lime to treat the soil where I'm planting really peppers and tomatoes. What that'll do, it'll provide a steady dose of calcium to help prevent against blossom end rot that you may find, especially in container gardening, which I do. I still am pretty highly on the container gardening side. I built a raised bed this year. And it's doing okay. I kind of rushed the soil. I didn't really. I guess I thought that I'd have more nutrients in there. Maybe it's just typical for raised beds, but I feel like my container, everything that I'm planting in containers, are growing up really well. Like I have 3, now 4 tomato plants, but I had 3. I added another tomato plant the other week because I have a nursery buying problem. But they're doing well. They're already they're close to 3 feet. already in no time at all. And the tomatoes I have in my raised bed, they're probably at the 2 feet level, and I don't know, they just don't. I don't know. I'm a little nervous on my raised bed garden right now on that side of things, but maybe they'll just have a little struggle and then they'll take off. Definitely more room to grow, I think, in the raised bed, so hopefully those will start to take off. Also, the temperature is starting to raise. Like I said, we're starting to get into 80s in the day pretty regularly, and so I think that will help them out as well. Geeky Garden says, I ate my first cherry tomato yesterday. Ooh. Wintered inside and put outside in March. That's awesome. Yeah, I have a cherry tomato plant, and there are lots of flower blossoms on it. So, I mean, it seems like every day, like, it's growing exponentially. So I should have some cherry tomatoes pretty soon, I hope. Let's see. I'll go over some of the tomato varieties I have. So I grew beefsteak from seed, and I have 2 of those in the raised bed, and then I have 1 in a container. And the one in the container is doing well, coming along much nicer than the ones in the raised bed. The ones in the raised bed, I feel like I put them in way too early, so they did have a little bit of shock because of the colder weather. Texas weather, man, if this was 2 or 3 weeks prior, or 2 or 3 years in the past, like, we would have had 80 degrees since like February. But of course, this year, when I try to get greedy and put them in the garden really early, we get crazy weather. February was very cold, and then it got pretty warm, and then March was pretty consistent, rainy and cold. But yeah, and then April, it's pretty warm, and then we get random 40-degree weather. But I think they'll do well. I think they're just, I don't know, I guess their roots are having a little more problem adapting into the raised bed. It probably has something to do with the mixture that I did in there. But I pulled up the cauliflower, and I found a ton of earthworms, so that's a good sign at least. But anyway, moving right along. Let's see here. Where were we? Oh yeah. So garden lime adds calcium into your soil to help prevent against blossom end rot. Tip number 2 is to put mulch underneath your tomatoes, and once they've grown up to a larger side, also trim off the bottom leaves, because that's where a lot of disease can be spread, is from when rain comes down. Fungus and diseases can splash up onto the tomato leaves, and so trimming those bottom leaves and then also mulching it helps to reduce the spread of diseases. Let's see. Also, don't forget to stake your tomatoes. You're going to want to stake them, put the stake about 2 to 3 inches away from the main stem. So that way you're not driving the stake into your the main root ball of the plant. And don't forget to stake them, because hopefully, especially if they're indeterminate, because they can grow. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have some 5-footers, 6-footers this year. We shall see, but definitely don't forget about that. And then also that kind of goes into suckers. Depending on how your garden's set up, I'm inside the city. I don't have a large backyard at all, so I have to kind of maximize space. So I regulate the suckers pretty well. And so if you don't know, the suckers, so you have your main stem of your tomato plant, then you have your leaves, and in between that 90-degree angle, about 45 degrees, you'll have another leaf stem that will grow in between that junction. And if you let that grow, it's another producing stem, and it'll grow nice, big, and it'll produce tomatoes. But if you have too many of those, your tomato plants can go wild. So I definitely do that on the bottom levels, unless I'm trying to do 2 stems. That way, in my containers, that I can still keep them relatively close. And then also, especially in my raised bed, I have enough space in between the two, but I don't have a ton, so I can't have them going all overlapping each other. So suckers, depending on your garden setup, you're definitely going to want to make sure that because they will appear frequently and often. And if you go a little bit too long, you can find yourself having just a massive plant that's growing in all different types of directions. It helps you to just, it's almost like pruning a bush. It helps you to dictate how your tomato plants are growing. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's see here. Also, to help disease prevention, it's also I use a baking soda spray for the tomato plants. Some people can use aspirin. I guess I don't have too much issues where I'm at. I use just a baking soda spray. I put like a half teaspoon of baking soda in a water spray, and it works really well for me. I really haven't had too much issues with that. If you're in an area that you do have a lot of fungal diseases, or just disease in general on your plants, I guess just do research on that and make sure that you're being proactive than reactive. So yeah, and then the last is just enjoy the fruits of your labor. Tomatoes are one of my favorite fruits, and I'm excited. I am growing some different varieties that I have not grown in the past. I've never grown Cherokee purples. I'm doing those. That is my largest plant by far. Cherry tomatoes, some salsa tomatoes. I picked one up the other day. I forgot what it's called. I think it's German orange. I think that's what it was called. But I've never grown them before. But I really like the label. It looks very tasty, so I picked those up. Never grown those before. I definitely am going to be a little more proactive next year and just get some really. I want to grow some really crazy stuff that no one's even heard about. So if you have any suggestions, drop a beat either in the comments below or in chat, and I'll make sure to keep my list updated. But like I said, I don't have a ton of backyard room. I would say so far in my garden that Cherokee purple is growing the most strong so far, and then also my first artichoke. I have 2 artichokes that I planted into my hill. I have a hill that feeds into a creek, and those are doing really well. But the artichoke that I planted about, I don't know, 3 weeks prior to that into a really large container is doing really, really well. So I'm really excited about that as well. Anyway, I hope everyone's garden is coming along nicely, or maybe you're just getting started. I hope you're able to start soon, because there's nothing better than the weather warming up and just being able to get out there and garden. So it's time to move on to my favorite segment. It's called What's for Dinner, and this week it is chicken boat. Chicken boat is, I don't know, my wife makes it. I love it. I don't know where she found it from, but basically what you do, should have probably got some foil, but you make a foil, I don't know, about a sheet of foil, and you just kind of fold the edges on both edges over, and then fold them inside, and it kind of makes a little foil boat. And you place a chicken breast in there that's marinated in balsamic vinaigrette. You can marinate that for as long as you like, and then you add either broccolini or asparagus, and you cook those at 350 degrees for about 25-30 minutes. And just when the chicken's almost done, you take it out and you add some feta cheese, and you pop it back in for 5 more minutes. Let that cheese kind of melt into the chicken boat, if you will. And yeah, make sure that it's cooked to temperature, 165 degrees internal for chicken, and then enjoy. It'll be nice and steamy, and it is delicious. It's really, really easy and really, really good. So chicken boat, try it out. Let me know. As always, if you have a recipe that you love and you would like me to try and then put on to the stream, you can email that recipe to me at theboneylife@gmail.com, and I'll feature it in next week's What's for Dinner segment. This live stream is always unless I have to cancel one, is every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. But yeah, that's what's for dinner. Quick and easy. It didn't even take me long to even describe it because it's that easy. That easy and it's delicious. Geeky Garden says, I got some Medusa seeds from another channel seed giveaway, supposed to produce bunches. 100 plus. We shall see. That sounds off the chain. That out Medusa seeds. That's a cool name too. I guess I'm just kind of envisioning just a crazy bush that's going all over the place, and yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to check that out. I'll add that to the list for sure. All right. So now we're moving on to our live segment. Not a lot going on last weekend. Like I said, we had the hailstorm on Friday, and then it was back up to a gusty 25-mile-an-hour winds, but it warmed up to about 80. Actually, no, it didn't warm up to 80 until probably Sunday. It was probably 70s and then 80s, but it was warmer. Got in, did a lot of yard work. I have live oaks, and if you've ever lived in a house or in an area with live oaks, they shed their leaves in the springtime. So in the fall, when everyone else's leaves are dropping and they're out doing yard work, and it's maybe a cold front's coming through, and they got their coats on, and I laugh at them. Well, spring comes around, and then so live oaks never go completely bare. They basically just shed off their leaves, and then they as they're replacing it with their new leaves. So anyway, the live oak leaves are about that big, and they are a pain to rake. And I think this may be the last year that I do it myself. I think this was the last straw. They're just, and we live in a cul-de-sac, and so the rain just all our neighbors, all their leaves just after a rain just come into my yard. It's a pain, but we got it done. My neighbor felt sorry for me. He came over. He helped me out too. My wife helped me out. It was we got it done, but yeah, live oak leaves are no fun in April. We got it done. I rewarded my neighbor handsomely, and yeah, and then let's see. I went out and saw a movie, Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg. It was really good. I didn't know until the ending that Steven Spielberg did it. I actually read the book about a year ago and figured I'd go see it. Didn't really have too much to do. It was kind of a slower weekend, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. This weekend, there's a fly fishing short film festival. Not really festival. It's just I don't really know what to expect. I think it's just kind of like an indie film that's being shown at one of our, they revitalized a old theater in our downtown area, and I'm going to go see that. It should be a good time. They have doorbusters, so hopefully I get some new sunglasses, or I don't know, maybe a fly fishing rod. I fly fish a little bit, if y'all don't know. Not very good, but I enjoy it. So yeah, that's it for life. Listener mailbox, we didn't have any emails this week, but again, make sure to write in, whether it be a topic that you want me to discuss, a recipe for the What's for Dinner. Email those all to theboneylife@gmail.com, and we'll feature it in the live stream. Yeah. So let's see here. I'll open this up. This is now the Q&A portion of the stream. We're wrapping it up, but if y'all have something that y'all would like to share with the class, or maybe a question that you have, I'll try to answer. If not, I'll try to find the answer and get back to you next week. But yeah, let's see. I'm going to take a little bit of water real quick. Whew. Gotta wet the whistle. Every time I think that it's past time, then someone always pops up with something. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time. I need to find a filler for this part. I guess I could do the Q&A and then do the listener box. Probably what I'll do. I need to change that right now. That way I won't forget. We're going to move this. We're going to edit this as we go. Future references. Boom. That will work. All right, it looks like we're going to wrap it up. Again, thank you everyone who joined into the live stream. If you have something that you'd like to be featured into the stream for the following weeks, make sure to send me an email, theboneylife@gmail.com, and yeah, we will get you into a future episode. I hope everyone has a great week, and I can't wait to see y'all all again next week. Again, we do these live streams on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Uh-oh, I knew it. We always have a late entry. Sarah says, we recently moved into our house and want to re-landscape. Do you recommend planting shrubs in the spring or the fall? Ooh, landscaping. That's actually funny that you bring that up, Sarah. My wife and I are talking about redoing our front yard. I like our front yard. It's not great, but we're gonna freshen it up, and so I'm actually about to be looking into that a little more. I don't know. I don't have a good answer right now. We're just planning on doing it in the fall. I don't know if that's better or worse. That's just when we are gonna probably do it, but I'm going to be doing some research. I'll do more research because it's really funny that you bring that up. Because we were talking about this past weekend. I'll do some. I think with shrubs, I would say fall is fine because that gives them time to establish a nice root system before you get into the really, really high in heats. That's what I would say off the top of my head. I would say fall. Because really, like for me, I have a mild winters generally, and so nothing really is going to strain them too much. And then that gives them a whole off season, if you will, for lack of a better term, to get established, and then they can hit the high heats because it will get 100 plus where I live. So I would say, off the top of my head, it also depends on what your climate is. I would say fall would be a little bit better, but if you have a mild summer, then maybe springtime's better. If you have a really, really potent winter, then yeah, I guess it just depends on your climate. Whichever season is less impactful is what I would go with. So if you have really, really bad winters, I would probably plant it in the spring, and if you have really mild winters, I'd probably plant it in the fall. But I'll double up on that because I have to do it anyway and find out. No problem. Yes, I'm going to make a note right now. Landscape. I think that's going to be the topic of next week's episode, is just landscaping. Boom. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Boom. Episode 5. So I have to do the research anyway. Might as well make it a live stream. Am I right? All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for being here this evening. If y'all are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified when we do the live streams. Again, they're every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you have anything that you'd like to add, send me an email to theboneylife@gmail.com. And until next time, plan to make something and make it amazing. Thanks again, everyone. Hope to see y'all again soon.